Jason Miles stood in front of room 217, holding a printed letter that changed everything about his college life. The paper had one bold sentence at the top. "Congratulations, you've been selected for the Intergalactic Roommate Cultural Exchange Program." He still wasn't sure how it happened. Maybe it was the essay he wrote about unity. Or maybe the school just needed volunteers, and he checked the wrong box. Either way, he was now officially sharing a dorm with an alien. The door slid open with a soft whoosh, revealing a tall, elegant figure standing in the middle of the room. She had smooth violet skin, large golden eyes, and a long tail swaying gently behind her. Her face looked feline, but her body was humanoid, slim and graceful like a dancer. Jason froze. The alien turned, blinked slowly, and spoke with a calm, clear voice. "You must be Jason Miles. I am Velrani of Kiris. It is agreeable to meet you." Jason cleared his throat and stepped inside. Nice to meet you too, Velrani." She nodded once and returned to unpacking. Her things were neatly arranged: folded uniforms, metal tubes filled with glowing liquid, and a few objects Jason couldn't identify. She moved with precision, like someone trained for serious tasks. Their shared room had 2 beds, 2 desks, and 1 large window showing the university courtyard. Jason noticed her bed was already set up, with a strange fluffy blanket that shimmered like starlight. "So," Jason said, trying to make conversation. "First time on Earth?" "Yes," Velrani replied without looking up. "I have studied your planet's culture, but I am still adjusting." Jason sat on his bed. "If you need help with anything, just ask. Earth stuff can be weird sometimes." Velrani looked at him then, eyes narrowing slightly. "I appreciate your offer. I will do my best not to inconvenience you." Jason smiled awkwardly. "Cool." The rest of the day passed quietly. Velrani barely spoke unless spoken to. She moved like she had no time to waste. Jason, meanwhile, tried to act normal, even though he kept sneaking glances at his alien roommate. Night came quickly. Jason was brushing his teeth when Velrani appeared at the bathroom door. She stood very still. "I require assistance," she said. Jason spat out the foam. Sure. I am unable to sleep alone. My species has a biological need for physical contact during rest cycles. Without it, I will experience stress symptoms and cognitive failure." Jason blinked. "Wait, you mean you need, like, a hug?" Velrani tilted her head. "Close physical proximity. Cuddling, as your people call it. Yes." Jason's face turned red. "You want to cuddle?" "I do not want. I need," she said. "My biology depends on it." Jason didn't know what to say. This wasn't in any guidebook. Still, she looked serious and kind of desperate. "Okay," he said at last. Just for sleeping, right?" "Correct," Velrani said. A few minutes later, they were lying on her bed side by side. Jason felt like a plank of wood. Velrani wrapped her arms around him gently but firmly. Her body was warm, her heartbeat slow and steady. It was surprisingly calming. "I understand this is unusual for your culture," Velrani said softly. "You are being generous." Jason gave a nervous laugh. "Well, I didn't think my first week of college would involve alien cuddling, but here we are." They lay in silence for a few minutes. Jason's breathing slowed. Velrani's presence was strangely comforting, like a living blanket. "This isn't so bad," Jason mumbled. He didn't hear her answer. He was already asleep. The next morning, Jason woke up in the same position. Velrani had already left the bed and was meditating cross-legged on the floor. She opened her eyes as he sat up. "You slept well," she said. "Your breathing pattern was stable." Jason stretched. "Yeah, actually I did." Velrani stood up. "I will report our success to the program coordinator. Thank you for your cooperation." He watched her leave the room, still processing what had happened. An alien had cuddled him to sleep, and now it was just normal. Days passed, and their nightly routine became part of life. Jason learned more about Velrani's people, the Kirans, a peaceful race known for empathy and mental connection. On Kairos, everyone slept in groups. Touch was as natural as breathing to them. Velrani also adapted to Earth in small ways. She started eating human food, though she avoided ketchup, listened to music, and asked questions about human emotions. Jason, in turn, learned how to say basic words in her language and discovered that her tail swayed when she was happy. But something else started happening too. Jason began sleeping better. He felt calmer during the day. Even his grades improved. There was something about Velrani's presence that made him feel grounded. They talked more at night. She told him stories about the stars, about how her people believed every soul had a frequency that connected across light years. Jason told her about Earth movies and sports and why dogs were amazing. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this arrangement than simple biology. One night, as they lay in bed, Velrani whispered something in her language before falling asleep. Jason was too tired to ask what it meant, but the words stayed in his mind. The next day, he used a translation app he found in the Intergalactic Student Center. He typed in the phrase as best as he could remember it. "They're watching us." Jason stared at the screen, his skin went cold. Jason couldn't stop thinking about the translation. "They're watching us." He stared at the words on his tablet screen again and again. The app didn't give any other meanings. That was the line. That's what Velrani had whispered the night before. Why would she say something like that in her sleep? Maybe it was just a dream. Maybe it meant something else on her planet. Or maybe it meant exactly what it said. He glanced across the room. Velrani was sitting at her desk typing a report into a small silver device. Her ears twitched slightly as she focused. She looked peaceful, even calm. Not the kind of person who'd say something creepy like that, unless it mattered. Jason decided not to bring it up. Not yet. Instead, he focused on his classes. Between studying and helping Velrani adjust to Earth culture, his days were busy. But something had changed. Strange things started happening around campus. People began acting differently. Jason noticed it first in the library. A classmate named Jenna, usually cheerful and chatty, sat alone with a blank stare, ignoring everyone. When Jason said hi, she didn't even look at him. Then there was Ben, his lab partner. He kept rubbing his eyes and saying he felt like something was just behind him, watching. "You okay, man?" Jason asked. Ben shrugged, eyes tired. "It's probably just stress." But it wasn't just stress. More students started complaining about headaches, bad dreams, and sleepwalking. Some even skipped class entirely. Campus security posted notices about increased anxiety and advised students to take mental breaks. At first, Jason thought it was coincidence. Maybe everyone was just tired. But one night, something happened that changed his mind. It was past midnight. Jason couldn't sleep. Velrani had gone to bed early, curled up under her glowing blanket. The room was dark, except for a soft blue light from her side of the bed. Jason rolled over, trying not to wake her. But then, he heard it. A whisper. It came from the wall. A low, scratchy sound. Not words exactly, but something close. Like a voice made of wind and sand. He froze. "Vel?" he whispered. She didn't respond. Jason sat up slowly. The whisper got louder. It was coming from the vent near his desk. He leaned closer, heart pounding. A faint voice hissed, "He sees you." Jason jumped back, nearly falling over his chair. Velrani shot up instantly, fully awake. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "You heard it," she said. Jason nodded, breath shaking. "What was that?" Velrani stood, calm but serious. She walked to the vent and placed her hand near it. She closed her eyes, listening. Then she turned to Jason. "We need to talk." They sat on her bed, wrapped in the shimmer blanket. Jason didn't know why, but it helped him feel safe. "There is something I did not tell you," Velrani began. I was sent here for more than just cultural exchange. Jason leaned forward. What do you mean? My people, Kieran's, are sensitive to mental energy. We feel emotions, detect thoughts, and sense disturbances in the psychic field. For years, we have tracked a species that feeds on fear and loneliness. They are called the Drelsh. Jason frowned. I've never heard of them. You wouldn't, Velrani said. They don't attack physically. They enter minds through weakness, emotional pain, fear, isolation. They whisper, confuse, and drain energy until the person becomes a hollow shell. Most victims don't even know what's happening. Jason felt a chill run down his spine. Are they here? Velrani nodded. I believe they have arrived on Earth. Your planet is still new to intergalactic harmony. You have kindness, yes, but also division, conflict, loneliness. That makes Earth a target. And that's why you cuddle? Jason asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Yes, she said. Physical closeness creates a protective link. It strengthens the emotional field and blocks the Drelsh from entering. Without that connection, I cannot defend myself, or you. Jason blinked. So, you've been protecting me this whole time? Velrani looked at him. You've been protecting me too. Our bond works both ways. Jason didn't know what to say. His casual roommate situation had suddenly turned into something far more serious. What do we do now? He asked. Velrani stood. We watch, we listen, and we stay close. Jason swallowed hard. Right. The days grew stranger. More students. Became distant, forgetful, cold. Teachers canceled classes without reason. Even the campus animals, birds, squirrels, dogs, acted oddly quiet. Jason noticed black shapes moving too quickly in the corner of his eyes. When he turned, there was nothing there. At night, the whispers returned. Jason and Velrani started sleeping together in shifts, one awake, one asleep, always touching. The cuddling was no longer awkward. It was necessary. They shared dreams now, too. In one, Jason found himself standing in a white hallway filled with closed doors. Each time he opened one, he saw a memory. Not his, but someone else's. A little girl crying. An old man staring at a picture. A woman looking out a window alone. He woke up in Velrani's arms, heart aching. That's how they feed, she said softly. Through forgotten pain. One evening they visited the Intergalactic Student Center. Velrani requested a meeting with a Kieran liaison. When the reply came, the message was short. Confirmed Drelsh activity. Earth team compromised. Proceed with caution. Jason looked at Velrani. Compromised? She nodded grimly. We may be the only ones left to stop them. Jason stood up. Then we stop them. Velrani raised an eyebrow. You're not afraid? Oh, I'm very afraid, Jason said. But I'm not letting invisible fear-eating monsters take over my campus. Plus, I've got a glowing alien roommate who cuddles like a space heater. I think I'll manage. For the first time, Velrani smiled. That night, they prepared for a new phase. Jason brought candles, soft music, and comfort snacks. Velrani brought her empathic crystal, a tool Kieran's used to amplify emotional energy. They sat cross-legged, touching hands, eyes closed. Together they reached out, not just to each other, but to the people around them. They were going to fight, not with weapons, but with something stronger. Connection. The next morning, Jason walked across campus with a strange feeling in his chest. Not fear, not sadness. Something else, like awareness. He looked around and saw students hunched over phones, walking silently past each other. Friends sat in small groups but didn't speak. Laughter was rare now. Even the birds didn't sing. It was as if the world had gone quiet. Velrani walked beside him, wrapped in her soft gray cloak, her golden eyes scanning everything. She didn't speak, but Jason knew she felt it too, the tension, the cold air that wasn't caused by weather. The Drelsh are growing stronger, she said at last. They're feeding well. Jason shivered. So how do we stop them? Connection, Velrani replied. Feelings, unity. We must create a chain of emotional light. Jason blinked. That sounds poetic, but I'm not sure people are going to line up to connect their emotions. They won't understand at first, Velrani admitted, but if we show them how, they will feel the difference. We must awaken their hearts. Jason sighed. Okay, so where do we start? Velrani looked toward the student center. We start where people feel most alone. They began that afternoon. Jason joined an open mic event at the college cafe, something he had never done before. With shaking hands, he walked up to the stage and told a short, funny story about his first time doing laundry and shrinking his roommate's socks. People laughed, just a little. But laughter was a start. Velrani played soft music on a Kirin instrument that looked like a silver harp and sounded like wind and water. People listened. Some smiled. Others stayed quiet but didn't leave. Later, Jason and Velrani visited the dorms. They passed out snacks, asked people how they were feeling, and stayed to talk when someone looked lost or tired. Many students didn't respond, but some opened up. One girl cried and said she hadn't spoken to anyone in 3 days. A boy said he hadn't slept because his dreams were full of shadows. Velrani gave them both small crystal pendants. They will help calm your mind, she said gently. Keep them near when you sleep. The next night, the whispers came back. Jason was lying in bed when he heard the low, crackling voice again. It came from the hallway this time, not the vent. He held still, trying to listen. So cold, so empty. Then silence. Velrani sat up beside him. They are testing us, pushing boundaries. Jason sat up too. Can they get in here? Not while we are together, she said. But they are looking for cracks. Jason glanced at the crystal she had given him. It pulsed softly in the dark. Velrani placed her hand on his. Do not let fear grow roots. Jason nodded, breathing deeply. Her calm voice helped. But deep inside, he wondered, how long could they really keep this up? The next day, something new happened. As Jason and Velrani walked through the science building, they found one of their professors, Dr. Harlow, sitting in the hallway staring at the wall. His eyes were wide, his mouth slightly open. He didn't blink. Dr. Harlow? Jason asked, kneeling beside him. No response. Velrani placed 2 fingers on the professor's forehead, then pulled back quickly. He is under full influence, she said. They've taken hold of his mind. Jason's stomach dropped. Can you bring him back? I don't know, she whispered. She placed the crystal on the professor's chest and closed her eyes. Jason watched, heart pounding, as her hands glowed faintly. A low hum filled the air. After a minute, Dr. Harlow blinked and gasped. He looked around, confused. Where am I? Jason exhaled. You're safe now, sir. Velrani helped him sit up. You were lost, but you are not alone anymore. Tears filled the professor's eyes. I saw things. I felt so cold. I thought no one would ever find me. Jason and Velrani exchanged a look. It was getting worse. That evening, Jason called a meeting with a few friends from his literature class, people he trusted. He and Velrani explained everything. The Drelsh, the energy feeding, the need for human connection. Most of them didn't believe it at first. This sounds like a sci-fi movie, one girl said. I know, Jason replied. But look around. People are getting colder, sadder, even scared. Don't you feel it? One by one, they admitted they had noticed something strange. Velrani gave each of them a pendant. These will protect your dreams. Stay close to others. Talk, laugh, feel. Your emotions are your shield. The group agreed to help. They called themselves the Light Circle and made a plan to spread awareness not through warnings but through kindness. The next few days were different. Little by little, changes began. Students started doing small acts of care. People shared meals, made playlists of happy songs, and held movie nights. Some sat in circles on the lawn and just talked. Jason saw hope returning to faces. Even the sky seemed brighter. But the Drelsh didn't like it. One night, Jason woke up gasping. His chest felt heavy. The room was dark and Velrani wasn't beside him. "Vel?" he called. No answer. He ran out into the hallway. A shadow slithered across the wall. He followed it, heart racing, until he found Velrani near the stairwell, eyes closed, standing still. She was sleepwalking. Jason grabbed her shoulders gently. "Vel, wake up." Her eyes opened slowly. "They were calling to me." She swayed, weak. Jason helped her back to the room. "You need rest." "They're getting desperate," she whispered. "They know we're fighting back." Jason helped her lie down and held her hand tightly. "I'm not letting go," he said. She smiled faintly. "Then I am not afraid." That night they dreamed together. They were standing in a field of stars, surrounded by shadows. The Drelsh circled them, whispering lies and fear. But Jason remembered his friends, his teachers, the way Velrani's music sounded, the way laughter felt. He reached out and grabbed Velrani's hand. A light burst from their palms, warm, golden, bright. The shadows hissed and scattered. When Jason woke up, Velrani was smiling. "We're getting stronger," she said. Outside, dawn was rising and Jason knew this wasn't just about surviving anymore, it was about shining. Together. The sun rose slowly, but the cold air didn't leave. Even though light touched the buildings of the university, the campus still felt dim. Birds chirped quietly. Trees stood still. Students moved like sleepwalkers. But Jason and Velrani were wide awake. They stood in the middle of the student garden, surrounded by the rest of the light circle. Their small team of classmates, teachers, and volunteers who now understood the truth. The Drelsh were real, and they were still growing stronger. "Today is important," Velrani said, her voice calm but firm. "If we don't act now, they will cover this place in silence." Jason nodded. "We need everyone to feel again. We need them to remember who they are." He looked at the others. There were 10 people in the circle now, each wearing the protective crystal pendant that Velrani gave them. Each one had seen something strange. Each one had felt the cold. But more importantly, each one had chosen to care. They spent the day reaching out. Jason and 2 friends went to the art center and helped students paint a giant wall with bright colors. One girl painted a rainbow. Another painted a glowing hand holding another hand. Jason painted a silly stick figure with a smiling face. Nearby, Velrani sat on the grass with a group of freshmen. She played soft music on her Kirin harp, and as the music filled the air, people closed their eyes and smiled. One boy cried quietly and didn't hide it. Another group organized a free hot drink table. No one needed to speak much, but when students took a cup of cocoa or tea, they smiled and thanked them. That small connection mattered. By evening, something had changed. The air didn't feel as heavy. Students walked a little straighter. Laughter returned in pieces, like sunlight through clouds. But not everyone was healing. That night, the storm came. It wasn't a real storm, not wind or rain, but something deeper. A storm inside the mind. Jason woke up gasping, heart racing. The room was shaking, not physically, but emotionally. He couldn't see clearly. Shadows crawled across the ceiling. The pendant on his neck glowed hot. Velrani sat up, her eyes glowing gold. "They're attacking directly now." Jason clutched her hand. "Then we fight." Velrani nodded. Together. They ran outside. The campus looked different. The sky was darker than night. Lights flickered. Doors opened and shut by themselves. People wandered like ghosts, whispering things to no one. "They've opened a dream space over the campus," Velrani said. "A field of false emotion. It pulls on sadness, anger, and fear." Jason felt it too. A wave of regret hit him hard. Memories of times he failed, of people he disappointed. His legs shook, but Velrani pulled him close. "Hold on to me. Breathe." He did. Her steady breath helped him focus. Slowly, the heavy feeling lifted. "We have to wake them," Jason said. The light circle met at the campus center. Some looked weak, others scared, but they all came. Jason looked at them. "We don't need weapons, we don't need powers. We have what the Drelsh fear most. Love, kindness, memories, laughter." Velrani added, "The Drelsh cannot survive where hearts are open." Jason smiled. "So let's open every heart we can." They split up in pairs and spread out. They hugged people. They told jokes. They reminded students of favorite songs or happy days. Some sang, some danced, some just held hands and stayed close, and it worked. Wherever they went, the darkness faded, bit by bit. Jason and Velrani headed to the library, one of the darkest places now. The air felt thick. Dozens of students sat frozen in their chairs, whispering to themselves. Jason walked up to a boy who was shaking. He knelt beside him. "Hey, I know it's hard right now," Jason said softly. "But you're not alone. I've been there too." The boy looked at him, eyes wide. Jason smiled. "It's okay to feel scared, but don't stay in the dark. Come, back to the light." He offered his hand. The boy hesitated, then grabbed it. At that moment, a wave of warmth filled the room. One by one, the others began to stir, blinking, breathing deeply as if waking from a nightmare. Velrani stepped forward and played a single note on her harp. The sound echoed like sunlight, soft and golden. The shadows vanished. But the Drelsh were not done. Suddenly, the floor trembled. A low hum filled the building. Velrani's eyes widened. "They're angry. The core one is coming." Jason blinked. "The what?" "Their main mind. The source of the whispers. It hides in dream space. But now it's crossing over. Just then every light in the library went out. Complete darkness. A cold wind swirled, and from the far end of the room a tall, black figure stepped forward, shifting like smoke, with no face, no shape. It was made of fear itself. Jason froze, his mind filled with voices. "You are weak. You will fail. You are alone." Velrani cried out. Even she couldn't move. But Jason remembered something. They can't survive where hearts are open, he stepped forward. His pendant glowed brightly. The voices screamed louder, but he didn't stop. "You're wrong," Jason said firmly. "I'm not alone." He turned back. "Velrani." She looked up, tears in her eyes. "Jason." He held out his arms. "Come here." She ran to him and they embraced. Their hearts synced. Their bond pulsed like a heartbeat through the room. Then everything exploded with light. In the dream space, Jason and Velrani stood together. The Drelsh core loomed over them, twisting, hissing, throwing painful memories at them. Jason remembered the time his parents argued, the time he got rejected from his dream school, the time he felt useless. But he looked at Velrani. She was with him, and she saw him fully and still stayed. He smiled, and suddenly his memories changed. He saw himself laughing with friends, talking with Velrani at night, painting the wall, helping strangers. He reached inside and pulled out that feeling. Hope. Velrani did the same. She thought of her home planet, her people, and her mission. She remembered Jason's kindness, his silly jokes, and the warmth of shared silence. They held hands. A wave of pure emotion burst from them, joy, pain, love, and truth. The Drelsh core screamed and shattered into 1,000 pieces of fading shadow. Jason opened his eyes. The library was still. The darkness was gone. Velrani stood beside him, smiling gently. "We did it," she whispered. Jason laughed. "I'm still trapped with a roommate who needs cuddles to sleep." Velrani raised an eyebrow. "And now you do too." He smiled wider. "Yeah, I think I do." Morning sunlight poured through the tall windows of the university library, catching dust motes that drifted like glitter in the air. Jason Miles stood in the center aisle, stunned by how ordinary everything looked. Books rested neatly on shelves. Tables sat in polite rows. No cold wind whispered, no shadow slithered. The Drelsh were gone. A small group of students, many holding crystal pendants, slowly emerged from behind stacks and furniture. They blinked at the brightness with raw, relieved faces. Some began to cry softly. Others hugged the nearest person, without words. Hope tasted brand new, fragile, and sweet. Belrani remained beside Jason, her violet skin glowing warmly in the morning light. She watched the students as if memorizing every smile. Then she faced Jason with a gentle expression. "It's finished," she said. Jason exhaled. "We really did it, didn't we?" "Yes," Belrani answered, voice steady. "But healing will take time. A wound of the mind is deep." Jason nodded. "So we help them heal." He turned and spotted Dr. Harlow, the physics professor they had rescued, leaning against a study carrel. Jason hurried over. "Sir, are you okay?" Dr. Harlow rubbed his temples. "I remember darkness, but also music and light." He looked up, eyes wet. "Whatever you did, thank you." Jason smiled shyly. "It wasn't just me." The professor noticed Belrani and gave a respectful nod. "And thank you, Miss Belrani of Kiris," she replied. "I am honored to serve." Dr. Harlow managed a tired chuckle. "Well, Ms. Belrani of Kiris, you have my lifelong gratitude." Repairing the heartbeat news of the strange sleep plague lifted as quickly as it had fallen. Doctors chalked the event up to mass stress and overwork. Administrators cited collective psychological fatigue. Nobody wanted to admit monsters of fear had nearly swallowed the campus whole. Jason, Belrani, and the Light Circle knew better. They met each afternoon on the grassy quad, continuing what they had started. Art walls, open mic laughter, free, cocoa tables, music in unexpected corners. Not out of panic now, but out of choice. They called their project Heartbeat Week, 7 days dedicated to mending connections. On Monday, Jason hosted a goofy bad joke contest outside the student union. People groaned at puns, groaned louder at worse puns, then finally surrendered to giggles. Each laugh felt like another brick in the wall against future darkness. On Tuesday, Belrani led a dusk meditation under strings of lanterns that they crafted from recycled soda bottles. She guided students to breathe, feel the ground, and picture threads of light linking everyone in a shimmering web. Even the most anxious attendees left with softer shoulders. By Wednesday, professors joined in. Dr. Harlow showed physics demonstrations on the lawn, how resonance amplifies tiny motions into mighty waves. He used it as a metaphor. One caring human is like one flick on a tuning fork. Many caring humans shake the world. Jason watched students clapping, eyes bright, and realized just how far they'd come. A visit from the Accord Thursday morning brought a surprise. A sleek silver shuttle from the Galactic Accord descended onto the soccer field with a gentle hum. Curious onlookers gathered as 3 delegates stepped out. 2 tall, blue-skinned diplomats and 1 shorter human liaison. Dean Alvarez rushed across the grass to greet them, suit jacket flapping. But the delegates asked for Jason and Belrani, by name. Inside the administration building, the lead diplomat, Ambassador Orcs, addressed them. "Our monitoring stations confirmed an abrupt psychic surge in this sector," Orcs said, voice musical, yet grave. "Data indicates a critical Drelsh breach." Then 23 minutes later, the surge collapsed. "We trace the collapse to you." He inclined his head at Jason and Belrani. Jason shifted nervously. "We just held on to each other." "Exactly." Orvex's silver eyes glimmered. "Kirin Sentinel Belrani, your mission exceeded expectations, and human Jason Miles, your courage embodies what many in the Accord call HFY, humanity, an admirable quality of defiant compassion." Jason's cheeks went crimson. "I kinda just did what felt right." "That," the ambassador replied, "is precisely HFY." Dean Alvarez, still flustered, asked, "Will there be a formal report?" "Several," Orvex answered. But the most important report is the emotional stability you restored here. For that, the Accord thanks you. The shorter human liaison produced 2 metals, simple discs of star steel threaded onto braided cords. One bore the sigil of Kairos, the other the stylized double helix of Earth. Orcs placed the Kirin metal around Velrani's neck and the Earth metal around Jason's. Jason swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. Velrani placed a hand on his shoulder. Say nothing. Feel everything. He did, and felt warmth spill through his chest. A choice of destinies. That evening, Jason sat on the roof of his dorm, legs dangling, over the edge. Stars pricked the sky, bright and silent. Footsteps sounded behind him. Velrani appeared, tail swishing softly. Thinking about the future? She asked, settling beside him. Jason nodded. Ambassador Orcs offered me a place in the Intergalactic Academy. It's huge. I'd study cultures, maybe travel into deep space. Velrani's ears twitched thoughtfully. Is that what your heart wants? I'm not sure. Jason kicked his heel against the brick. Part of me wants to see everything. Another part enjoys simple days, classes, friends, late-night pizza. Both desires are true, Velrani said. You can honor them by deciding which one matters first. He glanced at her. What about you? Will you stay on Earth? Velrani looked up at the moon. The Accord asked me to join the Sentinel. Command on Valise's station. It is an honorable post, but it is far from here. Jason's chest tightened. He tried to imagine the dorm room without her luminescent blankets, their nightly talks, the steady purr of her breathing as he fell asleep. Would you be happy there? He asked. I could serve well, she said slowly. Yet happiness is not location. It is connection. She turned, golden eyes reflecting starlight. Wherever I go, I will need an anchor, one who reminds me why we fight shadows. Jason's pulse hammered. He swallowed. I could do that. Velrani smiled, soft and certain. Yes, you could. They sat in quiet harmony, wind brushing their faces. Far below, music drifted from an outdoor karaoke night. Another small victory of heartbeat. Weak, Jason exhaled. Maybe we choose each other first, then work out the travel plans. Velrani tilted her head. A logical sequence. They laughed together, a gentle sound that floated to the stars. Graduation of the Light Circle Friday arrived, last day of Heartbeat Week. The quad overflowed with students, staff, and town visitors. Balloon arches bobbed. Banners read, Feel, Share Shine. On stage, Dean Alvarez tapped the microphone. 5 days ago, we faced a campus-wide mental health crisis. He paused, scanning the crowd. Today, thanks to the efforts of the Light Circle and every student who chose empathy, we stand stronger than before. Cheers rose. One by one, members of the circle stepped up to receive tiny glass heart pins crafted by the art department. When Jason's name was called, the applause surprised him. He accepted his pin and grinned at Velrani, who waited just off stage. The dean added, and let us extend special recognition to our interstellar guest, Velrani of Kairos, whose cultural bridge building reminds us that friendship knows no planet. Velrani bowed gracefully and the crowd roared. A band struck up a lively tune. Food stalls opened. The celebration spilled into dancing, painting, spontaneous poetry slams. Instead of the lonely quiet from days ago, the campus throbbed with HFY. Jason caught Velrani in a slow circle dance near the fountain. He whispered, Look at them, your heart chain worked. Our heart chain, she corrected, fingers gently squeezing his. The last cuddle of the semester that night. Room 217 felt different, yet familiar. Fairy lights framed the window. Their twin desks overflowed with thank you notes and half-finished homework. On Jason's bed lay a small duffel bag, the start of summer break packing. Jason slipped into comfortable clothes and found Velrani standing by her bed, holding the shimmering blanket. She motioned. Sleep time? She nodded. Sleep time. They crawled beneath the sparkling fabric, facing each other. Velrani's arms wrapped around him with practiced ease. Jason's arms circled her gently back. Their breathing fell into the same steady rhythm that had become as natural as the tick of a clock. After a while, Jason murmured, "I'm glad you knocked on my door that first night." Velrani's tail curled around his ankle. "I'm glad you opened it." Silence settled, warm and safe. But just before dreams claimed them, Jason spoke again, words half muffled in her shoulder. "I still don't know where I'm going next semester," he admitted. "Earth? Valise's station? Somewhere else?" Velrani's voice rumbled softly. "Wherever you go, remember, your heart is portable." Jason smiled against her. "Then I guess I won't be trapped after all." She tightened her embrace. A promise, not a prison. "Nor will I." And in that gentle entanglement, under a blanket that shimmered like distant galaxies, two friends, two anchors, drifted into peaceful sleep, guarded not by walls or weapons, but by the brightest shield in the universe, a shared, fearless heartbeat.